5 reasons you may be the toxic one in a relationship. Let's start with the most painful and obvious one: emotional and physical abuse. Now, you may be not someone who is pushing, slapping, throwing things at him, saying nasty things, screaming at him, humiliating, but maybe you're doing it in a more subtle way, and that still counts. So I'll come forward with that. I'm someone who's got short temper. I scored exceptionally high when I did Jordan Peterson's personality test on volatility. And I guess through years, I had some anger issues. Now, if it wasn't thanks to my ex, who brought it up that this is not something that he will tolerate, I don't think I would have addressed it in the way that I did. Because in my previous relationships, it would sometimes be seen as like a funny thing, or let's just ignore it, it's not a big deal. However, with my ex, he made it very clear that I'm not going to tolerate that. Even though it was not pleasant to have that mirror shining at me, he would simply ask me when I would be, I can say, out of line, how would I feel if someone treated me that way? And I think that was very helpful because I was able to address it in a more serious way with the help of my therapist and working myself. So now when I catch myself in those situations where I want to express whatever I'm feeling in that manner that is not in the way that I would like to conduct myself, I'm able to take a little step back, watch myself from the distance and see, okay, what is happening here? And how do I want to behave? Yes, I can feel all my blood is boiling, but maybe I can just withdraw a little bit and take a little step back. And I'm actually grateful that my ex didn't tolerate that, which gets me to the next point, that very often it is very difficult for a man to actually articulate that maybe he's being mistreated, or maybe it is also very difficult for him to openly talk about his struggles and whatever he's going through, and opening up about his vulnerabilities. And I think you are being a toxic person in a relationship if you are pulling away when a man is getting closer to you by opening up about his deepest fears, his insecurities, and the things that he's struggling with. I'm not talking about it in a way that maybe you just met someone on the first date and they're trying to get whatever their ways by using some tricks of vulnerability and talking about the terrible childhood to make you feel sorry for them, so then you are more likely to, I don't know, sleep with them or whatever. Yes, there are people that actually do that stuff, but I'm talking more when you know someone and they are telling you about their struggles and things that are coming to your mind, or maybe you even tell him, don't be a sissy, real men don't cry, grow some balls, be a real man, and things like that. I think this is a terrible thing to say, and I understand you are influenced by the way you were brought up, but if we want to solve this huge problem which kills so many young men, that is a suicide, we have to start being more supportive when a man actually has the courage to come to you and tell about his struggles. I think it's an extremely toxic thing to disregard him. You don't know how much courage it has taken for him to come forward to you and talk about those things. And we women, we blame men very often that they're not sensitive enough, that they don't know how to articulate their feelings, that they lack emotional intelligence. But how can we break that cycle, and how we can change things if we pull away when a man wants to express himself? You may be also pulling away because someone comes across as too invested. I remember years ago when I was breaking my cycle from seeing guys that were unavailable, maybe even married. I have videos about it on my channel. One of the first guys that the universe, or whatever you want to call it, threw my way, the things that he would sometimes do and say would create this like a knot kind of feeling in my tummy. Very early on, he started calling me his girlfriend. He would make future plans. I wouldn't have to wonder when I'm gonna hear from him again. Is he going to respond to my text? He introduced me to his friends, and I was not familiar with that because that was not the behavior that I experienced in the past with the kind of people that I chose to be with. So when he did all that, I kind of started pulling away because I thought, something is not right. Instead of thinking that he thinks that I'm someone worth all that attention and he wants to be with me and he sees me as someone special. And the reason he's doing that because he is showing that he wants to be with me. He doesn't want to play games because this is what healthy relationships are like. You don't have to play games. If you like someone, you simply communicate, I like you. And if that person runs away or that person is not interested, then be it. It doesn't, determine your value as a person of who you are. And I think sometimes it's also important to have a good look at yourself and the way you are showing up in relationships, in your dating life, and think, okay, maybe there are certain things that I'm doing that are creating these situations, because I think very often nowadays, especially social media, is full of this narrative. A woman is this princess, the queen, she deserves the best, and it's almost like she can't do no wrong. Meanwhile, men are not very important, we can do without men, and toxic masculinity and all these things. But I think there is a reason why you choose certain people in your life. What are these people here to teach you? And I think it's important to take responsibility for maybe certain actions that you take in your life and ways that you showing up in your relationships. Another reason you may be the toxic one in a relationship is that you are creating drama. This is especially common if you come from a household where nothing was this, and you never knew when coming from school what you're going to find at home. You never knew in the evening, is dad going to come back from work drunk or not? My parents going to have one of those heated arguments that may even get physical? Are we going to have dinner tonight, or is dinner going to be replaced by smashing plates? So if you come from this kind of household where drama was part of your everyday usual life, then when you are in a relationship with someone who is drama free, it may feel for you that it's almost like, I can't breathe, there is something wrong, and you are looking for ways to escape it, or you're looking for ways to introduce dramas. With your behavior, you start creating that drama, you criticize him, maybe you saw him like someone's post, you make a deal about it. If you ever done any of those things, please tell me in the comments. I once had this thing where I was seeing this guy, and it's very difficult when I can't give names to my characters, because then you think that I've been in these relationships. But anyway, I was seeing this guy, and I remember we were about to go to dinner and see his friends for the first time, and it was just not the behavior that I was used to. I remember we were sitting on the sofa, we were about to leave the house, and I stood up, I started putting my shoes on, and I said, look, I can't do this, I have to go home, this is it, we can't see each other anymore. He was able to talk to me in a way that I was able to feel secure, and I was able to proceed with those dinner plans, and I was able not to act in this crazy way, and I was able to have a drama-free dinner, which was lovely. And this may sometimes turn in a completely different, like 180 degrees, where you are playing the I'm fine game. My sister sent this meme the other day, and I saw it and I thought it was brilliant, so funny. You're playing the I'm fine game by giving him a silent treatment, acting in a passive-aggressive way. Maybe he's done something that hurt your feelings and you are not able to address it, so you're just not talking to him. Now I think this is extremely toxic behavior, firstly because he's not a mind reader. So if there is a problem, I think that is very important to address it, because all these things that you're trying to brush under the carpet, these little breadcrumbs, they're gonna be there for a while. They will start getting all rotten, rats gonna come. It's not going anywhere. And yes, I know having those difficult conversations, it is painful, and you don't want to do that. That thing that is bothering you is not going anywhere. It will come up again. And then when it comes back later, very often, it's just bigger, 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 bigger until that bubble bursts, and then you know what happens in those situations. Sometimes great people make terrible choices in love. Make sure you watch this video here. Like this video if you think you can show up in your relationships in a better way. Subscribe and hit notifications for more, and always remember that you're worthy of love.